When I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That you might work, ayy. When I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That you might work, ayy. That you might work.
Welcome back to another episode of the Michel Matters Podcast. I'm Dawgs Michel.
And I'm Jackie Michelle.
Welcome back.
Hey guys.
Alright, this is episode 28.
Yes.
Another one in the books.
Yes. I'm excited about today's episode.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
So I guess what's been going on the last couple weeks in the Michelle world?
Well, in the last 2 weeks, actually I don't know if this happened in the last 2 weeks, but it happened recently that I went on Ancestry.com because I just wanted to see if I had, I mentioned I was working on our family tree. I wanted to see if I had any more cousins pop up. You gotta make sure there's no siblings out there, just in case, because you never know. And there were some DNA updates, and I was kind of shocked because they were not the same as before.
Yeah, every once in a while we get an email like, hey, check your DNA, like the update. But I'm like, why do I need to check my updated results?
Yes. So apparently as science improves, more
they
research.
try to get a little more accurate.
Exactly. So we kind of discussed, we had our whole episode discussing our DNA. You can go back and I guess I'll put a little eye in the YouTube video on where you can check out what we were. But once I saw that I had updates, I was like, okay, let me sign into Dawgs' and see if he has updates. And he did. Then I called my best friend. I was like, man, let's check if you have updates because this is weird. And she did. And I was like, okay, this is strange.
Do you have mine up now?
I have yours up. I don't have mine up. But it was similar, I guess.
I think I'm less Irish than we thought. I think. I know a lot of people wanted me in the clan. But
I was disappointed because Irish. I didn't see the African, was it Bantu hunter-gatherers or something? That's no longer online. And that sounded like the most African to me. So that was strange. But you now have France. I now have France too. You still have the same percentage of Ireland.
No, it was 4% last time.
Oh, okay. Well, now you
down.
also have France and Spain.
That could explain the hair.
Okay. But I have the same, and our hair textures are not the same.
Yeah.
So our percentages are a little different, but I also have this pretty much kind of the same makeup. So France finally popped up on mine, which I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard all my life. But then I think I got German.
Yeah, I think some German came out for you.
Yes. And then on my best friend's, she got like 1%, what was it? 1% like Cameroon or something like that. I was like, what? You're black? It was the weirdest thing. So I don't know. I'm still going to have to update my family tree and figure out this whole DNA thing. Kind of had me just weirded out, I guess, by science. I still don't get it.
So aside from that, Jackie's been on this weird, folding craze all around the house.
I hate folding.
And it's starting, you do.
I do.
But
there's this new Netflix series called Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. I think her name is Kondo. Last name Kondo. But she wrote a book, and it's about the KonMari, so her name put together, method of organizing your house. And I think it was one Saturday or Friday that I was just like, let me just watch it all, because ain't nothing else to do. And it was so good. I was like, this makes sense. Why isn't our home organized like this? Like,
I'm not going to watch TV in my spare time of someone folding. That doesn't seem like something I want to do.
It's just so, her method it just makes sense. So I watched it, and immediately I was like, I want to do something about this house. Because when you come to our house, it's clean and stuff. You wouldn't think that it's unorganized. But then there are the little things that you don't think of. Like your dresser drawers. And your, especially the underwear drawer, you just kind of get crazy.
And it's crazy because, I fold everything. You don't.
I don't fold anything.
So.
He does all that stuff. So,
but now with the way you like, I can't fold your clothes anymore.
You can,
no,
because technically it's not folding. I'm just rolling it now. But
we're gonna have to do because I did laundry today.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do this together.
So I'm rolling everything. I'm showing him my drawers. Everything is rolled.
I can't lie. It's making me consider doing mine.
It looks good, doesn't it?
It makes me consider doing mine.
Even the towels, the linen closet has never looked this good.
Yeah.
So there's still areas that I want to work on. Like there's little drawers in the kitchen. Like you don't know, like if you have a place, it's hard to keep up with stuff. Or like you'll find random pens and it's like, what is a pen doing here? So that I need to do that, and then also my closet. But Dawgs hasn't KonMari'd anything of his own stuff, so I don't know what he's trying to do.
I mean, I'm not.
You have clothes to get rid of.
I do. So
like,
I guess
a lot. He has more clothes than me.
I got it. I heard you first time. So we'll look into that.
Yeah.
But what else?
What else? We had people at our house.
Yeah. So last weekend.
Yes.
We had the funeral for Mr. Sapp. But yeah, funerals usually, bring you down a little bit. So just to kind of brighten the mood, we kind of invited people over that night.
Actually, it was Monica's idea.
I mean, I was going to have Sapp over anyway.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it kind of just spurred the moment. She felt like coming over, and then we were going to make it like a wine night thing. And then, our wine night crew. And then I guess simultaneously, I knew some of your old players.
My former players were in town, so I told them to come over.
I knew they were coming, and then I guess Sapp and your boys were coming. So we were like, all right, well,
yeah.
Bring snacks, bring things.
And we made it a thing.
We made it a thing. I was in pajamas. I don't know everybody was comfortable.
Yeah, everybody was comfortable.
They didn't leave until 2 in the morning, but that's typical.
Yeah, all I know is the Douce's gone, the tequila's gone.
Yeah.
It was a long night, but, well deserved.
Yes. It was good to see everybody.
Yeah. Just kind of lift the spirits after
that.
such a long day like that.
Yeah.
And then the Super Bowl happened.
Yeah, that was the next day.
Probably the most boring Super Bowl ever.
And Super Bowls are boring to me, but this Super Bowl, I was like, I don't even have a performance to look to.
Nah.
I don't have commercials to look to. There was nothing going on.
It was bad.
So as far as the game goes, I don't know. I just knew the score, but I was just like, is this what we're here for? I mean, we got to hang out with different people, which was nice.
Yeah.
That was cool. New people. And yeah, besides that.
I mean, nothing crazy. It was just literally, the most boring. The commercials were bad. The halftime show, the game was bad.
Yeah.
Just a time to get together with people pretty much.
Yeah. I love Maroon 5. I love Adam Levine. If you guys, I don't know who's listening to this, who went to high school with us, but I had a picture of him in my locker.
Don't know why, but okay.
Yeah, it was him, Neo, and Reggie Bush, I think. Those were my top 3 crushes in high school. But that performance was whack. And his voice is amazing. So I was just like, I don't know if it's age. I don't know if he just didn't really practice beforehand. But it was just like, okay.
My only thing is you're in Atlanta. And...
Well, they did have people from Atlanta.
They had Big Boy.
Yeah.
But for 10 seconds.
Yeah. And I feel like if you don't have Andre with you, what are you doing?
But either way, you could have more Atlanta acts. I feel like they could have did a way better job with the halftime show in a city with as much music as Atlanta.
But I think they knew it would have probably been political if they did that. That's why Cardi didn't show up.
Then let Cat play. But anyway.
Okay.
All right, what else you got?
Happy Fashion Week. Fashion Week started on Friday. Yes.
I didn't know this was a thing. I saw this on the doc and I was like, why is this a thing?
Because I'm here. So Fashion Week started on Friday. I've been catching up on some shows, so I don't know if you're into Fashion Week. Let me know what you think. Yeah, that's it. This is my Super Bowl.
All right. Let's get into our current.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Yeah. 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 It's all about the Benjamins,
what y'all wanna do?
Baby.
wanna be ballers, shot callers, brawlers. We'll be dipping in the bins with the spoilers. On the low from the Jake and the
So as you guys know, you can subscribe and rate us on iTunes. Leave us comments on SoundCloud or on the gram at Jackie I Michelle and Twitter
at Coach_JOX.
I always catch you off
You do
guard.
all the way for that.
And if you would like to support the podcast, check the links below for some details of who we're partnered with and some deals you can get. For this week's current matter, I thought this was interesting. I stumbled upon this on YouTube, and I guess maybe it was just trending. And it was about an older model, like back in the day, before our time model. Her name is B. Smith, and her husband's name is Dan Gaspy, and he was like the executive producer of the Essence Awards.
Mm-hmm.
She now has Alzheimer's, but she was a restaurateur. She had a restaurant, I think in Chicago or something. I could be wrong.
I think the restaurant's still there. I think it's still
Oh,
there.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Way before my time.
Yeah.
But she was beautiful. Like, looking back at her pictures, she was like a really good model. She has Alzheimer's now. And during the time that she found out that she had Alzheimer's, her and her husband wrote a book called Before I Forget. And apparently it was like, he was like the world's best husband because, you know, he's like taking care of her and like helping her remember things during interviews and things like that. So fast forward to present day.
Whew. I can't support this.
He has a girlfriend that lives in the home with his wife and daughter. Wife who has like full blown Alzheimer's at this point. Like I think sometimes she doesn't even remember him. So his daughter takes care of her, like has moved in to take care of the wife. Or her stepmom. And because it was from a previous relationship.
Yeah.
But the girlfriend also takes care of her every now and then. It's so
crazy.
weird.
Like the whole situation, and they do like a short period where they let the side chick, I don't know, girlfriend speak, and she's like, you know, I think me and her could have been really good friends if we would have. And they met apparently earlier.
Yes, so they met like at different events and different red carpets and stuff. I don't know what happened from there. I guess he was just like, let's, you know.
I just don't know how you sell that. Like you tell your wife, like, hey,
well, apparently
look.
it's sold. I don't know if he told his wife. That's the thing. I feel I'm.
Well, yeah, you know, I guess you probably did something. She probably forgot.
Maybe. But I guess she had a book before that recounted, and it might have been the same Before I Forget book, that recounted how she got mad at him for flirting with a waitress while they were like at a restaurant or whatever.
Yeah.
So I doubt the same person who was mad at you flirting with a waitress while she had her whole mind would be okay with you having a whole living girlfriend while she's sick. You know what I'm saying?
And I guess...
My thing is, I feel like, okay, it's the way he went about it too. Like, first of all, you're doing it. That's the problem. But then you're also going about it like doing specials with news stations and like showing. She doesn't know that she's on the news.
My thing is like, why are you publicizing this? Like, what are you trying to get out of it? I guess his whole point of view is just because she's suffering doesn't mean that I have to suffer too.
His exact quote was, "I love my wife, but I can't let her take away my life." That's what he said.
My whole thing is like, when you got married, I'm pretty sure that was part of your vows.
In sickness and in health.
So, I can't support this. Like, I don't understand. Like, usually, you know, I'm gonna try to stand on the right side of things, but I can't support that.
Yeah.
Like, how do you justify bringing another woman into your home simply because your wife is sick? I feel like if there's ever a time she needs you more, it's now. Yeah.
And okay, so my thing is, you kind of mentioned like you don't know what's the ulterior motive, right?
Yeah.
The husband and the girlfriend have a podcast together, and they talk about like dealing with Alzheimer's and taking care of people.
No.
Yeah. Dead serious. I didn't even want to listen to it because I didn't want to give them no clicks.
That's disrespect.
But I was just like, wow, like, what are you in this for
That's
real?
disrespect. I don't keep it a buck with you. That's disrespect.
And then you're making appearances, like, for a whole camera crew to come into your home. And now, like, there's this YouTube video out there. Like, your wife doesn't know that she's out here like this. Or, like, he'll take videos of her and put it on Instagram, like, while she's doing things that I'm sure she doesn't know she's doing, you know? Like, why are you, like, just let her legacy be her legacy.
And then, like, the stepdaughter, like, has
the stepdaughter
given her blessing. Like, I think it's good that my dad is happy.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, clearly you can tell that's not her mom. So.
That's true. I don't know what happened with the mom.
Yeah, but I think that'd be hard to swallow if that was, like, your mom.
Your birth mom.
Like, your birth mom. So maybe that's why she's a little more accepting of it.
Yeah.
But I feel like she's just in it for the free housing at this point.
Yeah, she's in like her early 30s, I think.
Yeah. Free room and board, I'm with it. So.
Yeah. But I'm just like, and the way that he came out about his relationship, like, why are you even coming out about it, first of all? But also, he, like, posted it on his Facebook page and quoted, like, 50 Cent, the Hate and Love It. And, like, he's like, why lie? # why lie? Why are you doing that? That's so
why
disrespectful.
lie? Because you're cheating on your wife and you're telling the whole world.
And it would be different if he said, I mean, it wouldn't be different for me, but it would be different for him and everybody's opinions on him if he said, well, this is something we agreed upon.
Yeah.
Prior to her going full blown, like, not remembering even me. Yeah. That's different, because that's between y'all.
And we wouldn't have known. We could have been like, okay, you know what?
You could
maybe that is what y'all talking about.
You could have lived your happy married life and girlfriend side chick life in New Jersey, and we wouldn't know.
Flaunting your new girlfriend with your wife and like filming it. I just feel like you taking advantage of your wife.
The disrespect.
And you just trying to make a name off a situation that you're in.
You gotta be careful who you marry. And who you build with, because it's not only like they didn't have any children together besides the stepdaughter, who looking back at the pictures, it seemed like she was always around them.
Yeah.
So, who else is there to really look out for her but her husband? Like, you got to be careful who you build things with, who you build. Like, she had a whole empire. And now it's like, and the girlfriend too. What you mean?
Yeah.
Ooh. And they're all eating off of it.
You be your own spouse.
Yeah, that's crazy. But what do you guys think about it? Do you guys think in sickness and in health is like, well, there are exceptions?
Yeah.
Or do you feel like he's wilding out because it's disrespectful? Like, what would you do in that situation? I guess you can't really know unless you're in the situation.
Yeah, but I mean,
what would you think?
Do you think it's acceptable for a guy to bring in a girlfriend when his wife has dementia and doesn't remember her?
It just sounds crazy.
Yeah, I know. When I watch the video, I was like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
What am I watching right now?
Yeah.
But
anyway, so yeah, that was the current matter. Let's move on.
All right.
To the Michel Matter.
Yeah. It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Now, what y'all wanna do? Wanna be ballers, shot callers, brawlers, who be dipping in the Benz with the spoilers, on the low from the Jake and the Taurus, trying to get my hands on some grants like Horace.
So, for this Michel Matter, I'm so happy that we're here with Joy.
Hey.
Joy is literally like, whoever named you the right thing, because she's always smiling, always happy, always joyful. But we met Joy last year through my friend Rebecca.
I love Rebecca.
And I was like, we need a tax person because H&R Block is not doing it. It's not doing it for us. And she gave us Joy's number. We booked an appointment. And I saw her office, and I was like, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
Like, you think it's everywhere. So Joy is here.
Hi.
So Joy, tell us about yourself. How did you get to...
I guess, because we also know Joy through church, Cardiff?
Okay. Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, because I remember someone else had given me a tax preparer card, like, hey, go with me to do my taxes. And then I remember I was like, when I saw her card, I was like, I have a card just like that. I'm like, who did I get
You're
it
a
from?
big company.
And it was Kojak, and it was one of our other friends.
He's great. I love her.
And he actually used to go to our church for a little bit too. So
we didn't know that until the appointment. But yeah. So Joy, how did you get here? How did you tell us about yourself first of all?
So,
Things you enjoy, like tea.
I do. I love tea, but not just any tea. I prefer Addie's Cupboard, so follow them on Instagram.
Okay.
But tea's always good. But I made sure to bring my mugs so I could fit in because they have mugs every week. So
you're already.
I was ready. I came prepared. But overall, I feel like I'm one of those people who I'm a cancer survivor, and I just feel like it taught me a lot about life and how it can get real really quick.
Yeah.
And for me, that was a big takeaway of just have fun, just live life and be great. And it's this quote that I live by, where it's like you could choose to be happy or you could choose to be sad, but it's the same energy, you know. So you get to really choose how you want to feel and how you want to live your life. And I feel like for me, it's a big reminder every day. It's like I have the choice, I could choose to react a certain way, or I could choose to let things go, or do the best I can to let things go, because sometimes it's not that easy.
Yeah.
But I'm just a big believer in, just taking charge and owning your own energy.
That's good.
I know we brought you in because it's tax season.
Yes.
But taxes, how did you get into this? What is this? What you wanted to do? It's your childhood dream.
You know it. No, I'm just kidding. I've always done my own taxes. So I've been doing taxes in an office for 10 years. This is my 10th year. But yeah, before that, I was doing it myself, on paper, and those little booklets they would send you, and I just kind of figured out myself. And then one year I went to H&R Block because I had more than one W-2, and I thought it would be so much harder, even though it wasn't. And I went there, and the person really didn't seem to know what they were doing, and I found myself talking them through it.
Wow.
And then he told me at the end I had to pay up front because I wasn't getting a certain amount back, and he told me I'd give him $150. And I was like, bruh, now we both know we should split that.
Yeah.
But I just remember feeling like, this is weird that I had to pay him and he didn't know what he was doing. And then I met my now husband, and he was like, I'm going to open a tax office. And one thing about my husband, anyone who knows him knows, if he says he's going to do something, he's going to do that exact thing. So, we became good friends. I got on board, and then, he opened a tax office, and I was right there with him to help him and to work there, and I've been there ever since.
Nice. What did you do before taxes? So, you said you always did it yourself.
Yeah.
But, what was your career track, I guess, before that?
So, I'm an analyst at a major credit card company located in Sunrise, Florida. And I've been there for a long time, too. Actually, I've been there 11 years.
Wow.
But I guess I don't leave places where I work. I don't know. But that's my day job. I kind of do that. I support my sister's nonprofit, which is Eat Well Exchange. Go check them out.
Okay.
And between those things, I keep myself pretty busy.
Nice.
Because I guess that was always a question for me. Is H&R Block after tax time. What do those people do? Do they keep working? Do they stay busy?
They probably avoid the people whose returns they messed up. It's probably a full-time job.
Well, because even your tax office,
we're open year-round.
Right.
We do accounting, we do bookkeeping, we do insurance, we do mortgage loan origination, so we gotta get the houses. Come holler at me.
And businesses also file taxes throughout certain periods of the year.
Some of them do. Some of them use us to file quarterly taxes or just to get their books in order.
Yeah.
A lot of times they say you're the best chef ever. It doesn't mean that you're the best chef, best person to run a chef type business or to run a restaurant. So a lot of times they'll hire us to do their bookkeeping, their payroll, and just keep them organized so they can worry about being a chef.
Yeah.
I find a lot of times when business owners try to be the business owner and the chef, they mess things up because you can't do both. It's totally different skill sets. So we allow them to focus on running their business so we can help them with the back office stuff.
Nice.
Cool. So we haven't filed yet. We made our appointment with you.
I know.
Yes.
But I guess one of our first questions is when is a good time to file taxes?
Whew.
loaded question.
Right, because there's just so many factors. But I would say once you get all of your information, just go.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of years ago, you have to worry about somebody else filing for you.
Yeah.
That threat has lessened now that a lot of people have PINs and there's so many things in place to kind of prevent that fraud that used to happen so rampantly. So it's not like you have to beat up the clock anymore, but it's just nice to get out the way and to know what you're working with. And that way, if there are delays, at least you know you're in there or you're waiting in line, you know?
Nice. Okay.
So yeah, so as soon as you have all your stuff, make that appointment,
Yeah.
go get it over with.
We're waiting for
Yes.
his stuff, but we'll be there.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm sure it's your fault.
Yeah.
We started off good too. Don't do that.
Okay, so obviously we're married, right? And I know some couples file jointly, some couples file separately. What's the difference? I always wanted to know.
Just in case the IRS is listening, if you are married, you should file married.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
But they don't know if you're really married, so you can file how you need to.
Okay.
So the legit answer is if you are married, you should file married. But you keep in mind, the IRS does not pull marriage certificates. So you could be legally married and separated, and you haven't spoken or seen your spouse in a year, and you wouldn't have anything to know to file on them. So events like that, there's other filing statuses that might make more sense. So even though you're legally married, do you was 2018 a year where you really acted like you were single? Financially. Maybe it would make more sense to file single. You can benefit from certain tax credits that would allow you if you were single that you couldn't take if you were married filing jointly.
Okay.
Right, but let's say, you want to claim more income. Let's say you want to buy a house next year or you want to get some property. It might make more sense to file married filing jointly, even if you're not really married, because that income boost will look great to a mortgage broker.
Yeah.
So, legally you should match whatever your status is, but to the IRS, they're not pulling certificates. So your status is up for you at your discretion based on that year.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But no, okay, so we kind of spoke about this before we started recording, but children and filing with
That's
how,
right.
how is that looking this year? We got a lot of people with kids who listen. So.
Yes.
I'm sorry to
Nah.
So, for those who don't follow the news or who haven't really had a chance to really understand what's happening, our president made some changes to the tax code, and a lot of them do not benefit most people that I know or that we do their taxes. So one of the biggest changes is that exemptions are gone. So the average person does not know what that means, so I'm going to tell you. So an exemption is like a deduction of income that you get for every social security number on your return.
Mm-hmm.
So like you guys would have 2 exemptions, and if you had a child, that'd be a 3rd exemption, and so on and so forth. So that's why people who play multiple kids, their refund tends to bounce up a little bit more because they have these deductions in addition to other credits they used to have. So with the removal of exemptions, a lot of people's refund already went a little lower because now you're having to claim more of your income because it's not being deducted.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
that's a big deal because let's think about a person who's a single person,
Yeah.
claiming head of household with 2 dependents. That's a couple thousand each dependent that you would have, that you used to be able to deduct, and now it's not. Right. So when this was announced, we were told that the standard deduction was going up, which it did. But when you think about someone with multiple exemptions, it's not enough. Yeah, it's not enough.
Okay.
It's like if I stole your car, it's like, hey, but I brought you a 5th tire. It's like, that's great, but the entire car is gone.
Yeah.
So
Right.
5 tires means nothing to me.
Okay. And sticking on the subject of children, we know, people who are married with kids. We know people who are single parents or co-parenting. How does that work when you're pretty much sharing a child with someone, but you're not in a relationship with them? Is it just kind of like, oh, well, I know my kid's social security number, so
It's a race.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a race. I'm gonna claim them first.
Sadly, it often comes down to that.
What?
Communication doesn't work so well. But I find that a lot of my clients, they tend to alternate years.
Okay.
Or if I have one couple that I love that they're not together anymore, but they just parent their daughter in the best way ever. But they have communication where it's like, who needs her? And they all come together,
Okay.
and we play around with it. We see who would benefit from having their daughter that year, and they really allowed me to help them make that decision, which is amazing and super rare.
Yeah.
So normally, the more common scenario is the race to claim the child, which sadly happens a lot. So if you are in a race to claim a dependent, here's some things you need to know. So the first thing is that you need to find a reputable office, like my office, where we get to file early. So a lot of times before the IRS officially opens, we can submit and kind of get in line, like the Jordans line. You know, we're just waiting outside, and that's a huge benefit because imagine if you didn't get in the Jordans line until the morning of, you would not get your Jordans. So it's the same thing. So that's one thing to know. Try to go to an office that you can get in line early. Now, if you can't find that office, or if you both are going to an office where you can get in line early, the next thing you need to know is the qualifications test that the IRS does.
Okay.
So let's say baby daddy, he's the bad guy in this scenario. Sorry. So baby daddy, exactly. So baby daddy stole the child and he claimed first. And then baby mama goes to claim and they get that notification that the child's been claimed already. So the first thing the IRS looks at is where did the child live? If the child lives with you more, then you that's one test you win. There's 3 of them. So typically you want a child, in order to claim a child, they would have to live with you at least 6 months out of the year. So whoever had them more.
How can you prove that though?
So usually like school records, doctor records, they have that address and it should match your address.
Got it.
Which it usually does because that's where the child normally lives. You know, most kids are not living in 2 houses.
Right.
So then the next thing is the income test. So the income test is who is more likely to be able to afford to take care of said child. So that could go either way, right? Because either party can make more money. So that test you never really know.
Yeah.
And then the next test is the relationship. So who actually is the parent of the child, which both will probably win that one. So it really comes down to where's the child live. That's the only real leverage. So if your child lives with you and you're having that baby mama, baby daddy fight, like make sure your records are in order. Make sure that every address this child's name is on is your address and you can prove it readily.
Okay.
All right, ladies, get your paperwork in order.
Yes! Yes, please do.
Is it better to go to the same tax preparer every year?
I think so.
Yeah.
Why?
You
do
know,
think so?
I find that when people jump around, because I think it's the best deal, as if we're like selling things out here, but when people jump around, there's a lot that could go wrong, you know, because you can have one preparer who is not being so honest with you and not telling you what you need to know, and you go somewhere else, and then they file differently, and then everything gets blown up when the IRS looks like, so what happened to that business you filed, or what happened to this child you claimed that you don't even know, you know?
Yeah.
And then not to mention your security, your identity, you know, protection from that, because some offices, the more people that have your social security number, that could be an issue when we think about the times that we live in. So if you're every year going to this different place where they're giving you an iPad or giving you out things, think about the fact that now they have your social, they have your birthday, they have your kids' social, they have your address. Like there's a lot of information that you give them to do your taxes. And if you give that to a different person every year, it's a bigger risk that you can be a victim of identity theft.
Right.
So who's giving out iPads? You said somebody giving out iPads?
A couple years ago, there was this office that was giving out iPads if you would come and do your taxes.
Never heard of
Well,
that.
good for you, because a lot of the people were victims of identity theft, and then they actually got raided. It was on the news. The feds came and they shut the office down.
Just give iPads. That's crazy.
Hey,
I think
That sounds
think about
sketch.
how much it would cost for them to give an
Right.
iPad to each person. So they must be getting more from you
Yeah.
than what the iPad is worth, and it's probably your identity.
Yeah. Use your common sense.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so we started going to you after we've been to going to H&R Block for a couple years. And I can't lie, you did us right. Like,
Yay!
you took care of us.
Thank you.
But the whole time it's like, is Joy just that much better than H&R? Like,
Yes.
you are.
I'll tell you why. And no shade on them, you know?
that's-
But I just feel like here's the difference. At a company like that, they can't really teach their preparers too much or they would leave.
Right.
So they have to only teach them how to do data entry into their unique system. Otherwise, their turnover would be insane. They would never have employees that would stay put. So at an office like my office, we don't worry about them leaving because we're training them, we support them. You've seen our customer service. We really take care of a lot of things for our repairs. So we don't have that threat of them leaving and starting their own business because it would be easier for them to stay with us.
Yeah.
You know, so rather than using a knowledge barrier as your way to secure employees, we use other things like benefits and perks for our employees and for our customers to make sure that they don't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when you think about a preparer like me or my office, we really learn taxes. We really do. So that same daycare credit or that same business that you're starting, we know 2 or 3 different ways to plug it in that would make the most sense for your unique situation and not just plugging into a data entry system because that's the only way we know how to do taxes.
Right.
So that's the real difference why I was able to get you guys a nice refund that you hadn't seen before because I had to play around with it.
I expect the
Yeah,
same.
we had it.
I expect nothing less.
Well, this year, I don't know, with our new president's tax code, it's just been a different experience for a lot of people. But you know, got you.
Make it work.
I'll do the best I can.
Okay, on that same topic of our new president.
Y'all
No
friends.
shade.
Yeah.
Lord.
But okay, so how has we just experienced a shutdown?
Mhm.
How has that affected taxes? Like when are people gonna get their refunds? What other changes, I guess,
Yeah.
did that affect taxes?
So, with a lot of companies that are federal, that have federal employees, a lot of them tend to have budget for shutdowns, the IRS included.
Okay.
So a typical shutdown doesn't do that much damage because they have a budget where they can continue to pay their employees. Now the downside of that is that, for one, we've used that budget this year, so we can't shut down again. And then also, typically a shutdown's been 3-4 days?
Right.
Not as long as it was.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of times, because they're not prepared for that, or because they want to keep that budget intact, they have to let people go. Or they have to tell people, hey, you're furloughed, I'm so sorry, can you work for free?
Right.
Couldn't be.
Work for-
Right. And most people don't want to work for free.
Right.
And if you've ever called the IRS, they don't want to work when they're getting paid. So imagine volunteering with very little hope of getting paid back.
Right.
So customer service is down. At one point, the website was completely shut down.
Wow.
People couldn't get transcripts. I had a couple clients that were going to school and needed their transcript, and they couldn't get it. And most schools will only take a transcript. They won't take a copy of your return because they know that trick.
Wow.
So if you didn't happen to have a copy, which most people don't, you couldn't get a transcript, and what's the school going to do? Some people couldn't even register for school.
Wow.
So yeah, and then when you think about your returns getting accepted and then getting paid out, all of this is up in the air because if there's no one to do it, believe it or not, it's still a quite manual process.
Yeah.
A lot of it has been automated, but a lot of it depends on the person to push a button, and if that person's furloughed, then that button's not getting pushed, and a lot of people have to wait a little longer than they originally thought.
Right. Okay. You mentioned college students.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that they can kind of claim?
Not much.
Oh.
So
they-
if you
they're
are a college
refunded, like,
student,
not-
let your parents claim you, and nobody wants to hear that. No,
Yeah,
it's very
exactly.
unpopular.
Yeah.
But I can't say how many times I'll have parents that will come to me and be like, "Can you tell so-and-so that?" Because they think I'm trying to take their money. And I have to tell the college, young adult, where it's like, look, I know your friends are telling you that your mom is robbing you, but she still takes care of you.
Yeah.
Right.
And until you're over 25, a lot of those credits, you won't even get the full amount. You're not really making enough money to really claim yourself.
Yeah.
You can still file when your parents claim you and get your own taxes back if you worked. So it's not as bad as people think, but a lot of other offices would encourage the kid to file on their own so they get 2 return fees. But if you're a more honest place, like if you're a more entrepreneur, you would tell that child to let their mom continue to claim, or dad continue to claim them, because it just makes more sense for everybody.
But even this year without the exemptions, is it still?
Even this year, if you're a college kid and you have a good relationship with your parents, you, in my opinion, you should let them claim you. And if you work, you can still file. You can still file, you can still get your own taxes back. It won't be as much, but if you worked, you can still get a little something.
Okay.
And if you come to me, I usually don't charge if your parent already filed.
Huh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shit, a lot of plugs. You better go to
Hey!
you better go to Detroit. We kind of talked about, fraud and how that's always been a big factor with taxes. What advice do you have for someone who's had their taxes filed for them?
Yeah, it sucks.
For upcoming years.
It's a terrible experience, especially that first year, because a lot of times they're waiting so long to get paid out and it's not their fault at all.
Yeah.
But the silver lining is that after that happens, you'll get an identity protection pen, and it's mailed to you, only to the address on file, and they mail it out once a year automatically, and it's different every year.
Okay.
So that takes care of itself. But what happens is a lot of times people with these pens don't wait for the pen, and then they come in to file their taxes, and then it gets rejected, and they're not sure why. So if you're a victim of identity theft, don't move without letting the IRS know, because they don't know where to send that pen. And wait for that pen every year. It comes around December. Wait for it. Don't throw it away. And bring it with you to file your taxes, and you don't have to worry about that.
Nice.
What about for people who, I know you said a lot of people have pens now, but I've never gotten my taxes filed for me. But is there anything I can do to protect myself, or?
So I'll tell you a trick that I do.
All right.
So no shame on anybody, but typically people aren't like sticking you up in the street and like, give me your social, your child's date of birth. Like, that's not how it's happening.
Yeah.
They're coming from a place that you might trust. And I find that usually it's like the doctor's office, you know, the daycares. It's pretty bad. So my suggestion that I do myself is whenever I write down my social, I put one number wrong. And then when they tell me it doesn't match over the phone, I'm like, oh, I must have wrote it wrong. And I give them the right thing over the phone. They usually don't correct it on the paper, which is where they usually steal it from.
Okay.
And then I feel a little bit better about knowing that it's not written down
somewhere.
So sorry in advance, because not everyone in the doctor's office is like rolling their eyes like, Joy gonna have us doing all this extra work. But yeah, but some places you can leave it blank and just tell them verbally.
Right.
You know, so it's just be mindful of who you give your information to, because sometimes it's you know, right to the receptionist who's slanging them social security cards to people, you know.
Right.
So you just got to be aware of where you're putting your information and who you're giving it to.
So, oh, you got me.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say. So, all right, we have our appointment next Saturday.
Yes.
What paperwork do we need to bring?
Yes. For a successful appointment, let us know.
Yes.
What paperwork do we need?
So bring all of your W-2s, make a mental note of everywhere you work. I can't tell you how many times people forgot they work somewhere, people who move around a lot. So just be mindful of everywhere you work. Think about it and make sure you have a W-2 for each of those. Now also 1099s. So if you do, like if you're like a poet and you won a contest, you might have got a 1099, right? Did you win some money at a casino? Anytime anyone gives you money and they have your social, they're probably going to send you a 1099. And a lot of times we forget about those because it's not like a job.
Yeah.
You know? So like I have a client who is a professional poet. That's what I thought about that right now. And he wins a lot of money doing poetry things or being paid to be a host or a contest. And a lot of those companies will send him a 1099. So sometimes he'll come to me and he'll have like 3 or 4 1099s, but he knows to keep track of that. But the first year I did his taxes, he didn't even know he had to report that. And you know, sideway here, but a lot of times people think they have the choice to report certain things. They'll say, oh, I'll report it next year. And I don't know where this misconception has come from, but you can't. So if you report it next year, all we're doing is amending last return to include it. So you have to report it in the year you made it.
Okay.
So people think they have 3 years. I'm not sure where, but all of your listeners now, they know better. You cannot choose to not report it. The IRS has a copy. That same 1099 you got was sent to them as well. So if it doesn't match, they feel like you're Wesley Snipes out here. They think you're hiding income and it doesn't really work in your favor. So you want to make sure that you bring every single tax document you have.
Okay.
Now, something else you want to bring is, you know, just maybe a notes, a spreadsheet if you're a business owner of all of your expenses. Because a lot of the things, one of the things our president removed is non-reimbursed employee expenses, which is a very big thing. That's your work boots, you know, you know, all those things, dry cleaning, those things that people use to deduct for their jobs. That's not a thing anymore. You can't deduct that anymore. But if you're a small business owner, those are still deductible. Okay. And a lot of times people who are business owners are just paying for things left and right and not really keeping good track because they, you know, they're just working in the moment. So keep track, write it all down, save your receipts, go through your credit card statements, whatever you need to do, and bring it with you, because that will be a breath of fresh air with this year. We need every single dollar you spent. We need to find a way to account for it to help you get a good refund.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what saved us.
Yes, it did. Yes,
especially with the small business that I own.
Yes.
Again, we're gonna do it again.
Yeah,
it's a great thing.
I think there were still some things that we could have put down, but you were like, we weren't keeping track of it. Like, how am I supposed to know?
Yeah.
Right.
So like the gas sheets and things like that. Like, what else can we claim? Because I heard that there was something that we can't claim anymore. Small businesses. I don't know if it's like lunch meetings or
so
something.
When it comes to a small business, the words you want to remember are ordinary and necessary. That's the IRS term for what you can claim as your business. So it's super duper vague, right? Ordinary and necessary.
Yeah.
But what that does mean is that if it's ordinary for your business and necessary to do your business, then you can claim it. So a lunch meeting might make sense for you guys because you got to get to know people first, or you might use that as part of your vetting tool for a guest on your show. But if I'm a police officer, or if I'm private security, a lunch meeting may not make as much sense because people just tell me what time to stand still and don't let them get robbed, right? So it depends on your business. But what I tell my clients is keep track of everything and let me help you decide.
Okay.
Because it's better to you bring me things and I tell you it doesn't make sense than to walk away and leave something on the table because you thought it wouldn't and it maybe would have.
Right. And are there amounts, like maximum amounts, that you can claim for certain categories like that, or?
There's guidelines that I like to stick to, but I just like to, remind people that it has to make sense. So I had a client just yesterday that made like over $100,000 last year. And he has several businesses, and we're going through his expenses, and I'm adding them all up, and they were really expensive, and he was like, oh, don't deduct anymore because it's going to look like I'm lying. And I'm like, but you're not. But you're not lying.
You have the paperwork.
And he felt that the number was too high. And of course, I want my customers to be comfortable, so I want to explain, have a conversation with him. But if you're not lying and you could afford to have that type of deduction, it makes sense. And so, like, if you, on the opposite side, if I had a client who only made $30,000, but they want me to write off, $15,000, so that means that you spent half your money. Right, that's a little sketch, because how did you survive from $15,000 remaining? Right. It just doesn't make sense. And most people are not going to go broke for a business that, doesn't make sense. Like if you have another job and things like that.
Yeah.
So I know this kind of came up last time when we were preparing. So like I know someone who's a photographer, and he bought a camera on like OfferUp or Let's Go or Let Go.
Yeah, let's go. Get it on.
But like, there's no receipt for things like that.
True.
Like, how much can you? How can you prove that how can you claim that without a receipt?
A lot of people ask that. To be honest with you, in the event that you're audited, they want to show proof that you kept some kind of record and you're not making it up on the spot, even if you might be. So sometimes a spreadsheet. This date I bought this. That could do the trick. Right. Yeah. And it seems super sketch, right? Because it's like I could have typed that right now, but they're assuming honest intent and they're assuming that hey, maybe you did write it in. We don't know. So going back to that keeping good records. If you're buying items, from a flea market or from a private seller and you don't have a receipt, just make a little note. Text yourself, email yourself, just take a picture or whatever you need to do and just show, I bought this on this date for my business, and that should be enough. And we can corral all those together.
Okay.
And to file things for your business, you have to have an LLC?
Ooh, good question. No, you don't.
Okay.
So think about the guy in the corner selling water. I doubt he has an LLC. Yeah. He's just selling water out of his car.
Wait, so you can claim that?
If he's a business owner. So he is a business owner. He's a sole proprietor because he owns that water and he's selling it to you and you're giving him money for it. So he is a business owner even though he doesn't have an LLC. Okay. So another little sidebar here, but the difference or the main purpose of an LLC is so that if somebody slips and falls or somebody wants to sue you, your liability is limited, LLC. So what that means is if I'm that guy in the corner selling water and you drink my water and there's a hole in the bottle, right, you get sick, let's say you fall, if you sue that guy in the corner, you could take everything because he is the business. You can take his house, his car, the rest of those waters, whatever you wanted. But if he was an LLC, so guy in the corner LLC, and that same exact scenario happened, you are limited to what the company owns. Yeah. So you can't go over his house or anything. You can just take whatever guy in the corner LLC is worth.
You can have the rest of the water bottle.
You can have the rest of the water bottles and what he made that day probably, but that's about it.
That's it.
So it's important to have an LLC to protect yourself, but it's not necessary to file those expenses.
Okay. What about home taxes? Like, we are always voting for some homestead exemption.
Yes.
How does that correlate to taxes and what does that mean?
Yes. Yeah. So for those who qualify for an itemized deduction, which is just a different way to add up your standard deduction, a part of that is taxes and interest that you pay for your mortgage or your 1098. So anyone with a mortgage, every year you get a W-2 looking item from your mortgage company. Some people get several because they get sold all the time. Yeah. So you want to bring all of those in because those show how much you paid in interest and taxes to whatever mortgage company you that services your mortgage, and those are deductible. Nice. Yeah. So a lot of people leave that on the table and they forget, or they think that, oh, well, it's not a big deal. It is. Bring it. Let's see what we can do with it.
So, I mean, not to get too personal, but like, say you do some home improvements.
Yes.
Right? What type of home improvements are tax deductible?
So, not much.
Oh.
I know. A couple of years ago, there was a credit where if you had like energy efficient appliances, there was a certain credit we could get. that doesn't really work as well like it used to. So now most improvement that you do is for the beautification of your home. So it really isn't,
What about
deductible.
I don't know, hurricane windows something like that?
Yes. So a lot of your home improvements, even if you feel like they're necessary to keep your home intact, they don't always give you as much bang for your buck as one would like. And then when it comes to hurricanes or damage to your home, typically your insurance will indemnify you and make you whole, and then there's no harm, no foul to the IRS, so there would be nothing for them to do for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not what I wanted to hear, Joe.
I know, it's not a great answer, but sometimes people will have people coming in thinking that they get to claim all these different improvements, or Irma did this to me, what can y'all do? And there's not much, because there's so many other ways to make you whole that don't include an IRS credit. Yeah, there are some out there, but I don't want you guys to think that they're really powerful or impactful. They're not.
You can tell us off air.
Do you want to get into some listener questions?
Yeah, let's do that.
That they had?
Oh, that's so cool.
Well, wait. Before that.
Oh.
Oh no, let's do listener questions.
No.
I don't want to get off text. I want to stay on text.
Okay.
All
right. So I don't know if I should say their names.
Don't say their names.
All right.
Okay.
I don't know.
Annoying person number 1.
Oh no.
Yeah, she's annoying.
I don't think she's annoying.
I know. I love her. Kind of.
She knows who she is. She listens all the time. So her question is, if you freelance, how can you determine the amount of taxes you may owe?
Oh, good question. Not annoying person number 1. So just like the guy in the corner, you're still a business even if you're not registered or whatnot. So it's really your call. So if you're a freelancer, like let's say you're an artist or you draw, same thing, you draw or you sing, whatever, you determine what your rate should be, or you determine, what people would owe you. You put that on your own. So you determine how much you made, you determine how much your expenses are, and then you really report it to me, and I help you file it. So a lot of times I notice people like that, they're the ones who have all these notes on their phone or different paper they wrote down, did this show for this amount, did that for that, and then they kind of let me know, and I take it from there. But the benefit of that is if you have other circumstances, let's say you have kids, or let's say you have another job where you made a lot and didn't pay as much taxes, we can use your business income that you're reporting at your own discretion to kind of level you out if we need to.
Okay. Nice.
Oh, well, on that same question, so I guess someone who freelance but also has a regular job, and it's do I really need to report my freelance money? At what point? I know the IRS they're not listening. So the legit answer is that you should report all of your income. For sure.
Wink.
For sure.
You really should. Now, the hookup answer is that the joy of that is it's totally your discretion based on what you need. What does your year need to look like? So once again, if you're buying a house, going back to that example, you want to beef that income up. You want to show that money is just raining from the ceiling and you got it like that. Yeah. And being a freelancer would definitely help because you totally report that, But on the other side, if you maybe don't want to show that you had as a successful year as you really did, it would really be your discretion to report that to your preparer, and then they can file it for you. But don't come in and be like, I'm balling, but don't tell tell me what you want me to know,
right?
And that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, don't make it our job to tell you not to do it because we shouldn't be doing that.
And now, is that only if they don't pay you under the table? Not under the table, let's say your freelancer pays you cash.
Well, then it's your discretion on how much cash was given. No one would know but you.
Okay.
But sometimes someone gave you a 1099, you don't have no choice. You have to.
Well, just be mindful that a 1099 is also given to the IRS.
Yeah.
So they're aware of that number.
That's what I got.
Yeah.
So if somebody gave you a 1099, you can't ignore it.
Well, you shouldn't ignore anything.
Oh, yeah.
But just, it's that awareness that the IRS is also furnished a copy.
Yeah.
But they don't know your expenses that it took to make that money. So that would be up to you to report that. Okay. So that's how you kind of work with that.
All right.
Okay. Another question we got was, why did I get less money on my return as soon as my pay increased?
Ooh, good question. Whoever gave that question. I'm glad they brought that up because a lot of people have this misconception that the more you make, all your taxes are gone, or you're taxed so high. So let's first talk about that. So there are different tax brackets, and if you make over a certain amount, you are taxed, but only on that amount over. So let's say the first bracket is from $0 to $1,000, right? your taxes are the rate only for that.
Okay.
From 1,001 to the next bracket, you're taxed on that. So getting overtime, getting a raise, it doesn't. Your taxes for the first amount, it stays the same. You're only taxed higher on that small amount over. So give it up. Go get your overtime, get your extra money, get that raise, and don't feel like you're going to be punished for it because you're not. Only that amount over is what's going to be at that new tax bracket. So it's not a death sentence like a lot of people think it is.
And the last question is, does your refund size speak on what you're doing right or wrong when it comes to withholding, or is it a tax reform issue?
That's a great.
It's a long question.
Yeah, hold on, there's more.
Oh, there's more to it. Oh, okay.
I find that my refund check or lack of a refund check is different every year, and nothing changes except pay increases.
Oh.
So the first part was,
Yeah, there's a lot.
does your refund size speak to what you're doing right or wrong?
Okay.
When it comes to withholding.
So originally, refunds were not even a thing that the government did every year. It used to be they would send everybody a bill. Hey, here's how much we need from you to keep our country running, and expect you to pay it by April.
Right.
And a lot of people did not like that because imagine another bill, So then they start doing taxes withholding from your paycheck. So they would say, here's how much you're probably going to make this year, and here's how much you're going to owe, and we can split it up into 52 or 28 payments, and then you pay your taxes like that, which is what your withholding is.
Right.
So now when you think about that, you're basically prepaying a bill, right? So realistically, it should be a wash.
Zero.
Right.
It should be no refund at all. A refund, the actual term is overpayment.
Right.
And when you owe, it's an underpayment because you didn't pay enough, right? So imagine you go to like an all-you-can-eat buffet, but instead of you pay one price to get in, you pay by the pound, but after you ate,
Okay.
right? So you can prepay up front, but then they're going to wait after and be like, oh, this is what you really owed us.
Yeah.
But ideally, you would have ate exactly what you paid for. So it doesn't mean you did anything right or wrong. It just means that somehow along the line, you miscalculated how much you would have owed.
Okay.
Or you're going to prepare who doesn't know how to level it out.
Got it.
So that was the first part.
Yes.
Next part was about...
They were asking if it's a withholding issue or if it was a tax reform issue.
So when it comes to tax reform, and a lot of the reasons why people get these credits is because the government is steering our behaviors. So that year I mentioned before with the Energy Star efficiency credit, it was a time where there was a big push to get green appliances and to, stop killing our planet if you can help it.
Right.
So because they wanted people to do that, they offered credit and deductions to motivate your behavior. Same thing with the earned income credit. If you have kids, they still want you to return to the workforce. So if you have a child and you don't work, you don't get the earned income credit. You only get that if you're working with the child. So they're pushing parents to go back to work. In addition to that, they gave the child tax credit, and you also get credit for daycare and dependency care. So they're saying, hey, working moms, we want you to go back to work. We need you in the workforce. So they were steering that behavior. So when it comes to getting a refund, it could be either. It could be that you miscalculated your withholding, or it could be that for that year, there's some kind of credit or behavior they want to drive, and they're incentivizing you to do it.
Got it. Okay.
That was good. And there was still one more part to that.
One more part, yes. It was a good question.
The last part.
Last part.
Oh, yes. I find that my refund check or lack of a refund check is different every year and nothing changes except pay increases. I don't know if that kind of relates to that previous question you
Yeah,
answered.
but if I had to guess, not seeing her taxes, but I'm going to assume that in the past you were probably going to a person who wasn't comfortable itemizing. Because a lot of my clients that make good money, and whether they have a dependent or not, if you don't itemize their deductions, you're not going to get them anything. I can't tell how many clients I had from other places where they're like, oh, I'm not getting a refund because I make too much. And I'm like, well, that's not how it works. Like, did you overpay your taxes or not?
Right.
So a lot of times people who make good money pay a lot of taxes, but if they go to a person who doesn't really understand how to do a harder return, they're not going to get them a refund, and they'll have them thinking, oh, you make too much to get a refund, which is not always the case.
Yeah.
It's very
And it's never too late to do it, well, not never, but it's usually not too late to do an amended return. So whoever you are, question number 3, dig up your returns, find me, and let's look at them and see if we can get you some more money, because it's not too late.
I'm glad that you mentioned that the refund check is not like a bonus. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because a lot of people kind of look at it that way.
Yeah.
They think it's a stimulus package.
Right.
and
It
it's
means
not.
you overpaid. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So I guess how can you get people to kind of understand that instead of like banking on a refund check to be like, oh yeah, now I can buy furniture, or whatever it is that they're.
Oh, that's such a hard question.
Yeah, is it like a mindset change that needs to happen, or?
Well, I have two answers for that.
Okay.
So one part of me, as a person who doesn't always get the biggest refund, I feel like, well, it's nice to have it. I'm not depending on it, blah, 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 right? And sometimes people will tell people, no one should depend on it. But you have to understand the type of people who get big refunds are depending on it. Sometimes it's the biggest check a person gets their entire year, right? And people in those situations, there is no judgment. You probably need that money for things out of your control, depending on your circumstance. And as a country, we have to do better to make sure they get it. So right now, this new tax code is a direct blow to people who depend on that refund. And a lot of my clients who have dependents and who I have one client every year, I give her almost $10,000, and this year with our new tax code, her refund was like $4,000.
Oh.
So let's talk. I mean, that's a big change for this person. And people who are comfortable with their finances will say, "Why is she depending on that money?" But until you're in that situation, you can't tell somebody. If you get this check every year,
Right.
you're counting down till you get it, right? So we just have to do better as a country to make sure that the people who live at or below the poverty line are taken care of. Even if it's uncomfortable for those who feel like they're footing the bill.
Right.
And then we gotta make sure that the middle class is taken care of as well, that we're not being punished, like sometimes it feels like we are.
Yeah.
And then those who make a lot of money, they have to do their part and pay those taxes that they owe. I feel like a lot of times this tax code and with other people in power, they really protect the people who make a lot of money so they don't have to pay these taxes, not understanding that we need those taxes. Because they pay for the people who need that money.
Right.
It's a long-winded answer, but I feel so strongly about it.
I know.
It sucks for that person who every year they get a certain amount and they need that money, and now it's kind of like, new tax code, who this? Like, it's not fair to them,
Yeah. You were about to say something.
Yes. So, taxes and everything is great, but you're also married.
I am.
Yes.
Okay,
and-
so before you get it,
okay.
I didn't know where you were going with that. But okay, so you, not to get in everybody's pockets that you kind of work with, but you do work with, I'm assuming, mostly minorities at your tax office.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, based on income and everything, that like people are doing well for themselves? Like as a community, how are we doing?
Oh, that's good. I mean, I do have a lot of different colors and creeds and all of that for my clients, but primarily, a lot of them are black. A lot of black people. But I feel like as a community, we are doing a lot better than than the media would have you believe.
Okay.
I have a lot of black married couples. I have a lot of black men who are great dads. Like all these stigmas that we think are not happening in the black community, I'm seeing them all the time.
Right.
And it's crazy to me because if you look at the media, they'll have you thinking that no black man's a good dad, or that black men out here chasing these white Brazilians and everybody. Like they'll do anything but get with a black woman. And it's not true. I mean, love who you love, whatever. But I can't tell you how many black, strong, boss up couples I see every day, and I love it.
Yeah.
But people will have you thinking that it's not the case, Or I have a lot of people who started a business. A lot of black businesses started up and are running successfully. And even those that aren't running successfully, they started them.
Yeah.
And they're going to keep it alive because what black people do, we keep things going.
Right.
So I feel like as a black community, we're doing really, really good, but people don't know it. Or it's not as in your face as the failures are.
Okay.
So just know, black people, we're doing really good. Let's keep going. Let's support each other and keep it alive.
I just wanted to know that before you
I like that.
went into that.
Yes.
What's
good
the biggest
question.
attorney you ever got somebody?
Whew.
Why you looking
I
at
don't
my
know.
pocket?
I just really want to
Not
know.
mine.
Not your pockets, but yeah.
But one time I got this woman. It was maybe like $12,000,
Okay.
and she was really happy. She cried and everything. And it was funny because it was her first year coming to me, and before she was going to a small office where they just did it by hand, and the person had a calculator and everything. So yeah, she came to me. I got her $12,000. It was $12,400 and something dollars. I remember because the numbers meant something to her, so it was really dramatic. It was crazy because she was like December 4th. It was I remember that though because it was a crazy number. And then I told her, go home, find your last return, and let's look at those too.
Yeah.
And literally that same day, she came back her other return, and I got her maybe another $2,000-3,000 from the year before.
Wow.
and another 1,300 from the year before. Like, we really sat there. And one thing about me, you guys know, I'm super patient with you.
Mm-hmm.
I have appointments where I can move faster and some where I choose not to move faster. So I have that time to really dig in and help her. And she was so grateful and she was so happy. And she's coming it's been like 3 years. And it was just a great moment because for her, she's one of those people who thought, it doesn't matter that I have kids because I make too much. I'm never going to get a refund. And I'm so glad that somebody told her to come to me because it's been great for her ever since.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yay! Well, you know. Yeah, right? But it was a great refund. It was a great day for her.
I mean, we were happy about our...
Yeah, I don't got to get into that. But anyway, okay. So we done with text questions?
Yes.
All right. So,
text questions are fun, by the
for
way.
sure.
I love text.
But I know you're going to get sick of it soon. I mean, taxis, it has to be draining. So, like, on your marriage, how do you, because you and your husband are both
It's his
in
office,
it.
yeah.
It's his office, right? So he's in it, you're in it. It's taxi. I know it's crazy. Like, how do you still find time for each other while being super busy?
Woo, Lord. So I think we just have this understanding. You know, it's we see each other in the office, so that's a gift.
Right.
You know, because most people who are super busy are away from their spouse. So luckily, he's right in an office next to mine. So that's great. But I have the understanding. So like a Valentine's Day, like what's that? We're working. People want to get their taxes done, so we haven't had one in a real one in a long time. We celebrate Side Chick Valentine's Day the day after, like most people do. But yeah, just like we have an open, communication. We talk a lot, and we just try to just talk about other things, So like and he's there all day. Yeah. My husband is like a farmer. Like he get up when the sun go up, and he stay up all day working, come home late, and do it all over again. He actually hasn't had a day off since January.
Wow.
So he's living his worst life.
His worst
But even then, you're right. Even with him being in the office super early, he'll not go home until I go home.
Okay.
Like I come in after my other job, I come in right after, and he will literally stay there with me, and we'll walk out together, and it's like a nice little time to catch up. Yeah. It'll be like 11 o'clock, almost midnight. So the office is pretty empty, and we can talk and hang out while I'm doing my email clients. And it's just a nice moment to feel like, oh, we're together.
I was just gonna say, what is that like? Because like, I enjoy having my job I go to, and Jenny her job.
Same.
Well, I'll tell you, it works because it's his business.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, if he's like, put the mug like this, and I want it like this, well, it's not my call. So I gotta sit there and be like, that mug would be better when I put it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's not my call because it's his business. It's a very clear distinction,
Okay.
So that allows us to not even have that conversation or that tension because it's his call.
Okay.
And sometimes I fall short and I tell him, well, that mug should be over there. But, he's not scared of me, so he will just put it where he wants it.
Right.
Which is not great for me. It's nice for your spouse to be afraid of you, but he's not afraid of me.
And how long has he been in the business?
A long time.
Yeah.
So when I first met him, that's when he was talking about opening up the business we work for, Clair Financial Services. But before that, he worked at other places, and he was just kind of moving around, trying to learn the business and see where he was going to land before he decided to just open his own business.
Nice.
Yeah.
What I love about your business, and obviously we haven't been there for a year, but when we got there were young people.
Yes.
At the they're the first people you see.
That's true.
And I was like, this is awesome.
Like, it really is. And they're related. So in the front we have young people, which a lot of people would feel like that's weird in a professional business.
Yeah.
And you look at our website, look at our Instagram, everything is like on a good high level. Yeah. And then you walk in, you're like, who's this little kid?
Yeah.
But we do like an intern program for our receptionists, and it's usually like our niece, our nephew, our friend's niece or nephew, our friend's daughter. And I feel like people, especially black people, we need a chance.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we're not given that chance because people assume we can't, or people assume a business of our stature needs a white face in the front, which thanks. So we like to just give them a chance to be around a successful black business, to learn, to see how to run a business, to get that free mentorship from my husband, from myself, from other preparers, and just to feel like, because you can't pass down a job.
Yeah.
A kid can't inherit your job no matter how hard you work there. So if you own a business and you teach them or let them get an exposure to owning a business and seeing how business runs, they're more inclined to want that for themselves and to see that it can be done.
It's possible.
Yeah. Right. So a lot of times, like even this year, we have young kids who never even had a job before. This is their first job, and it's quite the job because you see how busy it can get in our office. But they learn really quickly how to multitask. They learn how to be professional. They learn how to talk to people and how to, speak in complete sentences when you're talking to people about their money. Yeah. And they learn computer skills. They learn how to. We had one of our interns networking all of our computers.
Wow.
And so now that's a skill set that's totally transferable, right? So when he wants to enter the workforce, he has a huge advantage that I'm sure most kids his age don't know how to network an entire office of computers.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Really
wow.
good.
And my husband is super duper patient, as you can see, but he's super patient. So he will sit there and teach them these skills that most people would not teach them.
Right.
Yeah. And then when they mess up, we don't give up on them. Mm-hmm. Like we had kids who can't put their phone down, and we had to tell them like, okay, I need you to put your phone away because right now you would have got fired. If you weren't so-and-so's daughter, you'd be fired. If you weren't so-and-so's nephew, you wouldn't have a job right now. But because you're black and we're a black-owned business, we're not giving up on you. So we're gonna make this a teaching moment.
Right.
And we do that. And I can't tell how many times people just need that chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
Shout your business out. We've already done that in a previous episode.
I'm not. Oh yeah, that's right. I appreciate that.
One of the first.
One of the first.
It was when I first met you guys.
But we want, if you guys have any more questions, just you can contact her directly. You can contact someone else from the office, whoever you feel, you're more comfortable with. Joy is my favorite.
But the entire staff is really good. So we're Clair Financial Services. You can find us on Instagram, I believe Facebook, our website, everywhere. But we're Clair Financial Services with STCLAIR and then Financial Services. On Instagram, we're
I'll write it.
You're gonna write that. It's like it's abbreviated.
Yes, I got you.
Yes, so cut that part out where I'm in. But you'll find us on Instagram, or you can call our office. Like we're super approachable. We're super, it's easy to get in contact with us. We're open year round as well.
Perfect. Do you want to stick around and listen? Like these are more like our typical listener questions.
Of course, yeah.
Cool.
So
I live here now.
So let's move on to
the beat, huh? Throw a hex on the whole family. Dressed in all black like the omen. Have your friends singing, this is for my homies. And you know me for making me so sick. Lost in my six with the Lex on the wrist. If it's murder, you know she wrote it. For your deep north. Know you wanna feel the rain, cause it's black and cold.
This is now the Listener Matters portion. As you guys know, you can email us at michelmatters@gmail.com and leave us comments, questions, etc., and we'll answer them on the podcast. So this week we have a follow-up from a listener from episode 15.
Episode 15 has to be like 6 months ago.
Yeah,
Right.
It was a long time ago, but they felt like following up. So she says, hey, so I ended up breaking up with the guy I mentioned last time and have been in a new relationship with the guy for a few months that doesn't bring out those feelings I had in my previous relationship. I'm not worried about things in his past coming out in our present like I was before. Don't lower your expectations for a relationship status. And she made sure to put with clap hands. Thank you guys for your views on the situation. So I don't remember exactly what we said to her.
I want to look it up. I started to look it up as soon as I started to read it. I'm trying to remember what the original issue was. Okay,
so what did she say?
Her original listener question was, I've been dating a guy for a month now, and he's nothing like what I expected myself to date because of my previous high standards. He's attractive, and we have things in common, etc. But he's younger than me, currently in between jobs, lives in a different state, and the kicker is he's been to jail twice. Do you believe I lowered my standards and that most of us should lower our standards to meet a suitable partner? I don't know why. I don't remember laughing that much, but that's funny. Sorry.
It's not funny.
It's not funny, but
I think I probably remember saying, I don't know if you lowered your standards because people can change. You can have gone to jail before and change,
Yeah.
It's just what baggage can you deal with pretty much moving forward. Like if he potentially can't get a job because of his past record, can you live with that? Or whatever else may come. But apparently you decided to move on. So he wasn't the one for you. Anyway, so I'm glad you found someone else and I hope this works out.
Be happy, queen. You need to find someone that loves you.
Yes.
And that you don't feel like you have to lower your standard. I don't feel like women should have to lower their standards.
Yeah, no one should.
Yeah.
Especially women though, because we're more inclined to do so.
Yeah.
Men, the term ride or die nigga. Can I say nigga? the term ride or die man doesn't exist. But y'all want women to ride and die? Like, why is it an expectation?
Right.
But men don't even have that term in their vocabulary.
Right.
So I feel like men are never lowering anything.
That's true.
Women are the ones who often have that decision to
Do
make.
you know men who've lowered their standards?
Very few.
I mean,
I'll say one.
if you ask most men, they feel like they married up. So
Most do.
Yeah.
They have that luxury.
Most
or-
have.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean we even, but yeah, you know most
Whatever.
people may have married up.
Yes.
I feel like it sucks that only women have to make that choice.
Yes. So next question. I'm in my mid to late 20s, and I kind of feel like everyone's life is progressing in areas of marriage, kids, etc. But I'm just out here. I'm open and ready to date, but where are these men? No. Where are the men?
I mean we out here. I mean,
Where?
go ahead.
I don't know. I feel like I can't answer this question. Because whenever, like, I don't know. I feel like if we weren't together, I would be okay single. But then I also haven't been single for a very long time.
Yeah.
So when people ask me that question, I kind of feel like, let me just be quiet because
You don't
maybe
feel like
my
you can
opinion
provide.
is invalid. Yeah.
That's better to hear from you, who's a married woman, than like a single person who's
Yeah.
not winning right now.
But I also met my husband in high school, so I kind of
That's
feel like
different.
you just skipped over it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Where are these men? I guess I feel like a lot of times women pick up men in the worst situations, or they get picked up in like the craziest places. That's just my opinion. I feel like a lot of how the relationship starts kind of dictates where you go from there, or just like the way you meet. Like if you are dating a guy that like, you know, walked behind you in a club and you know started to dance on you. I mean, maybe or not, he may not have come in here with the best intentions. Not the best intentions,
Maybe,
but like,
but it could work. We
It
know
could.
couples who
you're right.
I
But
feel
did it
like
work?
married.
Oh, I'm still married.
I feel like rom-coms lie to us.
Yeah.
TV, movies, they all lie to us. And they make us feel like you're supposed to meet this person and feel a spark.
Right.
And it's like passion. We're making out through the door all the way to the bedroom. Like, you know, like they make you feel like
Yeah.
if you don't have that experience, it's not romantic
Not
or it's,
real.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of the times those guys are your friends.
Yeah.
You know, those guys are your coworkers or someone you see on your way to work every day.
That's true.
And you feel like, I like talking to them. I like being around them. But you might not feel like you're going to like burst through the door or make it not like they do on TV. And because of that spark, or you don't feel like on fire when you see them, you mistake that for thinking that you might not be in love with them or it might not work. But
yeah.
that's where they are.
Yeah.
So that's where they are, ladies. They're in your friend zone.
No!
Look, look in your friend zone. And
I did
you'll
not
find-
say that.
And you'll
Where,
find the right
where
guy.
did you meet your husband?
I met him at work.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
See, but then
But we were
that's kinda
friends.
tricky.
We were friends for a long time.
Did you guys stay? Well, yeah, you guys still work together today. So,
I'm telling you.
that's different though.
They're
'cause
usually
I
right
do
under your
know-
nose.
I do know some people who dated at work,
Yeah.
and like I'm coworkers with them.
Yeah.
So then it gets kind of awkward when it doesn't work out because
It's a risk.
Yeah, we all work.
But
together.
honestly, we were really good friends. We
Yeah.
really became good friends, and even today we're good friends. And
Yeah.
I think that's
when you're married,
right. But I feel like other women who are looking for that spark, they might have missed out on a great relationship because you know there was no drama in the beginning,
Yeah.
or there wasn't that
Right.
push and pull that sometimes we mistake for love. Baby boy lied to us too, by the way.
Yeah. Definitely don't get any.
Right.
relationship advice,
I just
too.
feel like they just have people thinking it could only start a certain way.
You know how I feel about this. I just feel like there's a lot of good men out there, but they get passed over, you know, because they're not typically, I guess, what people consider like exciting, or you know, they
Yeah.
don't give you that initial spark. But I mean, I'm not saying get you a boring guy. I want you to be happy.
Yeah, don't get a boring guy.
Yeah.
Get a guy that you enjoy being around.
Yeah, or they're not 6'5".
Yeah, like crazy standards. I mean, you could be 5'9" and cute. I don't understand where they come up with this stuff.
Yeah, I think we gotta prioritize. Like, how did they make you feel?
Exactly.
That's to me
How
like
did they
everything.
treat you?
Yes.
Yeah, that's important.
Yes.
So,
And if sex has to be good. Because all the good treating in the world, if you go home and you're not satisfied, it's just gonna bubble up in every other place.
question number 2: don't settle. Find you a good man.
Yeah.
Just try looking at different places.
Yeah, I don't
overlook
know.
'em.
I don't know where you're looking.
Yeah, don't pick them up on Instagram.
So,
Um,
why not?
nah.
No DMs.
Hey, God, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. Some people met on Facebook and on MySpace.
You never know where you're gonna meet that person.
Taking a chance. You want to meet a serial killer.
Oh goodness! Just I feel like pay attention to what everybody tells you.
Yes, and I don't know. Switch things up if you're looking, or don't even look really. Like maybe because you're so focused, you're passing over some of the guys that we're kind of describing here.
Joy told y'all he's in your friend zone right now.
I did not say friend zone. I don't believe in the friend zone.
He's in your friend zone.
I don't believe in the friend zone. I did not say friend zone. You're the worst. Because he said it again. He's circling back to it.
Right.
His name is Bestie in your phone.
Okay.
That's him.
All right, let's move on.
Come on. I've been had skills, crystal spill, hot bills in Brazil. About a mill of ice grill, make it hard to figure me. Be kicking me in my hole, undercover, Johnny Brasco. That's my East Coast girl, the Bentley, the twirl. My West Coast shorty, push the chrome 740, rockin' red man and naughty. Oh, with my kitty cat.
So for this week's small business spotlight, we're going to highlight a small business very near and dear to us. It's Dawgs Hoops.
Yeah.
This is a new AAU team that myself, John Sapple's been on the guest on the podcast, and our other friend Marlon Wong.
Yes.
We're starting a AAU team. If you know anyone, we're looking for 8th, 9th, and 10th graders. We're gonna, do our best to build them up athletically and build them up as young men.
And let the people know. I'm gonna quote Envy. For those who don't know what an AAU team is, what's an AAU team and why is that beneficial to a student?
So most high school basketball players, their school season runs from November to February. If you go far in the playoffs, you're playing in March. Mm-hmm. So after that, it's just more games. A lot of kids these days, they don't play enough basketball. They don't get enough games in. So this is a chance for them to go out, play with people that aren't necessarily their schoolmates. Sometimes if you're a really good player, you get to play with other really good kids. And we just go ahead and we're trying to put it together a good team. We're going to play locally to start and just build them up. And then year by year, we'll move up and gradually we'll increase our workload and the things we want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
I'm
something that we've
excited
been wanting to do for a long time. But yeah, this is the year. Top Dogs.
Yeah.
Dog mentality.
Where can they find you? How can they contact you guys?
We're on Instagram and Twitter at Top Dogs, DAWGS Hoops. So yeah, you can link us if you know any kids that are interested. Repost the Instagram or the flyers. We're gonna have tryouts February 23rd at Northwest Christian. You can get all the information. I'll probably put it in the description too. So
Yes, put that below.
Support.
The
if you wanna donate, we're taking donations as well. Hit me. Anything to help, man. I'm not trying to make any money from this. We're just trying to help the community, help the kids.
Yeah.
And put a good product out.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Hey.
All right. I think that's the end of the episode.
Yes. Right? That's it.
All right.
Another one in the books.
Bye.
When I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That just might work, ayy. When I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That just might work, ayy. That just might work. That just might work.